Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. We're at day 2 of Tech Disc Week, 5 days of Tech Disc. And I've done a lot of thinking about how yesterday went. I need to come to terms with a number of things before I continue. Number one, I've played a lot of disc golf in the last few days. Basically, I'm pretty tired physically. I'm not able to put as much force on the disc as I would like. I just can't throw as hard, as fast, or as far as I normally would if I were just playing disc golf every few days or just on the weekends or whatever. I can't throw as far, as hard. I can't put as much effort into the disc. I just can't. So that's going to affect not just my distance, my efficiency and effectiveness, but it's also going to affect my accuracy. Another thing that I did was I had a cone here that I was pretending was my lie, so I would do a standstill behind the lie and throw, and then I would do a bunch of walk-ups. And I became overly concerned with putting my foot behind the cone, and because of that I was distracted. I was not focused 100% on the net. I was basically reducing my effective ability to throw simply because I was focusing part of my attention elsewhere. I've had a full day's rest. I'm going to deliberately keep myself to about 80% because I'm here trying to work on form. With that said, I've got some things I want to work on for day 2. Day 1, I did a bunch of blind throws. I just threw and threw and threw, not thinking about form per se or anything, just throwing normally the way I do. Backhand and then forehand, I came out with about 90 throws and a baseline to work with. So I have a baseline minimum and maximum speed for both backhand and forehand. Those are very similar. The spin numbers are significantly different. The spin rate of the forehand is effectively 66% or 2/3 that of the spin rate of backhand throws. That's what I've perceived. Another thing is the wobble that occurs is about the same between the two, but I was able to get down to very low wobble levels on some of my throws, and that gives me a lot of confidence because the wobble levels I was getting down to at a minimum level was that very similar to what pros do. So I am capable of throwing smoother with less off-axis torque, and I'll be focusing on more slow, smooth, coordinated throws rather than just mercilessly ripping into that. One thing you'll notice is I have my phone now set up here. Yesterday I just had it off to the side, connected and just recording the statistical information from this disc. Now I've got it set up so I can tell what I'm throwing just after I throw it. One concept I want to push here is the directionality of the throw. It doesn't have to be towards the target. The directionality of the throw could be this way, and maybe the disc would go that way with the hyzer, for example. Or the direction of the throw might be this way, and you're throwing an understable disc on anhyzer and it curves around that way. Here, the general assumption is you're throwing straight forward, roughly flat, maybe to very slight hyzer in that direction. And so the directionality of the throw is this angle. When I talk about rotating the shoulders 90 degrees, it's 90 degrees relative to the direction of the throw, the DT or TD, throw direction. So what I want to do is get my shoulders to about 90 degrees, get this fully extended out here, but keep that elbow up and then release the disc that way. And so what I want to do is basically bring this into the power pocket and then release. So that's how I'm going to work my throws. Okay, now I'm going to start with my first throw of the day. Okay, 38 miles per hour, 734 spin. So that was a very low effort throw. That was probably very similar to if I was throwing 150 feet. So again, slower throws to start. Okay, I lost directionality of my throw. I lost track of it because I moved my head too much. So what you want to do is you want to keep your head facing towards the target and let it come back only as far as needed, and that'll help you line up the target. 40 miles per hour, 726 spin, 3.5 degrees of wobble. So that's the goal, is to minimize that wobble to under 4 if possible. 41 miles per hour, 815 RPM, 6 degrees of wobble though. 41.4, 795 spin, 6.7 degrees of wobble. The nose angle and launch angle are actually pretty decent. That should have had a little less wobble. 5.4 wobble, 40 miles per hour, 810 spin, 42.7, 878 RPM, 6.4 degrees of wobble. The nose is up from the launch. So the launch was down, the nose was up. So I threw it like this. That's why there was wobble. I put it on more hyzer, but I tried to see if I would correct my wrist. Yep, 4.8 degrees of wobble. That was better. So that's the key, more pouring of the coffee. Let's try more extreme pouring of the coffee. 5.3 degrees of wobble. I tried deliberately throwing it a little bit higher, but with more pour of the coffee. Okay, 1.5 nose angle, that's good, but 6.6 degrees of wobble, negative 3.6 launch. That's not good at all. Obviously, this is training me to throw too low. That's not good. Just so you know, I am deliberately aiming higher. Okay, 1.4 launch, 2.2, 4.0. That, my friends, is one of the fastest throws today so far. 44.7 speed, 817 spin, 4.0 wobble, 2.2 nose angle, and 1.4 launch. That was my best throw. I need to examine that throw a lot more. I tried aiming for here, and I made it here. So that wasn't good. Wow, 6.5 wobble. That's a positive number. That's not good. The higher the number, the more wobble there was. The launch was 0.8 degrees, but the nose was 2.6. So it's getting better. But the whole point of me reducing wobble, I'm actually kind of clueless. It's not what I thought would happen is not happening. I deliberately tried doing this more when I threw, just to see what that would do. Like at the release point, I was doing that. 4.5 wobble, that's good. 0.2 nose, 2.8 launch. That's good. That throw right there is what I should be more aiming for. Now, I don't know what it looked like, but what the numbers said, that was a really good throw. And again, I'm trying to throw for there, just to see if I can make it look like a more normal throw in the simulator. I still tried doing that just to make sure I got that nose down. And maybe that's too much. 4.8 wobble, negative 1.7 degree launch, but the nose was up. So I basically threw it like that. That's not good. Maybe I'm doing too extreme and that's causing the wobble. So let's fix it a little bit here. That was very low in speed and spin because I was trying that specific arc in real time. 4.8 wobble, negative 2.9 launch, negative 0.7 nose. So me pouring the coffee too much actually may have raised the nose angle, but me putting it more like that instead of like that was the way to go. So again, I'm going to look at this right here. Again, that was lower than I wanted. I want to throw up here. 3.6 wobble, negative 0.3 launch, 1.6 nose. So that was good. So, okay. So for now, I need to train myself to get that disc around here. That hit right about where I wanted. That was probably the most visually appealing throw to me in terms of being the thrower, looking at the disc and seeing what the disc does. That looked good to me. But 6.9 wobble, we've gotten worse. 7.8 nose angle, we've gotten worse. And a 3.8 launch. I'm okay with slightly high launch number, but the nose angle needs to be as close to 0 as possible. Again, elbow up. There we go. Not ideal. 6.3 wobble, 0.5 launch. I don't think that's good. 3.5 nose, that's not good. I'm hoping this doesn't train me to throw too low. So I'm gonna aim for that. So of course I threw lower earlier. 5.2 wobble, negative launch, 2.1 nose. Again, I was aiming here. How successful was I aiming here? Not very successful. 5.1 wobble. As you know, wobble is the most important metric to me because that's what's killing my distance. That is what's killing my accuracy. So wobble is everything to me right now. And obviously I can't get it down to 0. I just want to keep it under 10. Can we do that? 5.5 wobble. The launch and nose angle stuff is gonna crush me in the future, but for right now, we're fixing the wobble problem. Late release, everything else is good on that. 5.3 wobble, okay. Slightly positive launch angle, that's great. Again, an early release, slightly low, but 4.3 wobble. The next thing I'm gonna need to fix after wobble is going to be nose angle. And just so you guys know, I have a tablet out of the field of view of the camera that I have a series of notes that I'm following. My current disc golf coach is Owen from Trebuchet Disc Golf. Link to that will be in the description below. And we worked together over the last few months in terms of him guiding me to do different things to fix the various problems that I have. The primary stuff we're working on today is the elbow angle. That was a late release, a touch too low with 6.3 wobble, 1.7 nose angle. I'm gonna have to come to terms with an acceptable range of wobble that I'm going to be producing and be satisfied with that. So between 4 and 6 wobble, I'm going to consider that acceptable. Above 6, I've got a problem. Above 10, that was a disastrous throw that shouldn't have occurred. So let's try to keep between 4 and 6, since I can't really get it under 4 reliably. 5.9 wobble, 4.8 nose. That's probably as good as I'm going to get with the standstills, I'm sorry. 5.6 wobble, that's the bare acceptable range. 2.9 nose. Launch angle was exactly perfect though, so I need to focus on that. 41 to 42 is probably as good as I'm going to get with the standstill throw in terms of speed. Spin is 831. .6 wobble, not good. Nose angle is negative 1.1 with the 4.1 launch. That actually should have gone pretty far, even if the speed and spin were down. I mean, I'm not trying to throw like this, but let's just see what this does. Oh, I actually threw it downward. That's why people don't throw that high. 4.3 wobble though, negative 3.1 launch, that's bad. Nose angle is 1.3. So the wobble and nose angle were actually pretty good there. So let's just try to throw up higher. I deliberately tried to make sure it went this way and that way. Although I was aiming for here, what I ended up hitting was here. So that wasn't as good as I wanted. However, 4.9 wobble, 1.0 nose. And the launch angle is 3.9. So positive launch angle, good. Barely positive nose angle, good. So that was actually a more effective throw. So maybe that's what I'm getting wrong. I'm doing enough swing elements wrong to where the tweaks that I'm doing aren't changing those things, and those negative elements are making those changes worse. So let's just raise this up higher, get it to where this is almost 90 degrees perpendicular from the ground, and we're going to throw lower to there. That's the goal. I don't know if I brought that in the deep pocket though. After I threw, I realized that was something I needed to do. 3.6 wobble, 3.3 nose angle, but that was probably the least wobble throw I've done. So for me, perhaps, with my biomechanics, Maybe that's what I need to do, is just throw this higher, start lower. Like that, lower, like that. 5.7 wobble, 3.9 nose, that's not good. The most popular recommendation for fixing wobble when you throw is increasing the spin rate of the disc, because what that does is that increases gyroscopic forces, which helps to stabilize the disc in air and reduce wobble, even though wobble will remain less and less to the point it reaches the apex, and then it'll start to fade. The thing that I noticed with the backhand is it's almost impossible to just increase the speed. You can't purposefully flick the wrist to increase the spin rate. You pretty much just have to make sure you do as much of the things as possible that's correct within the swing to get that increased spin. So spin is, at least on the backhand, more of a secondary factor. Maybe there are ways to increase it, but I've yet to discover what those are in my online research. All right, so with that said, I'm going to go ahead and start doing some walk-ups. Kind of weird throwing and not following through. Don't know how to process that. 6.0 wobble, 2.9 nose. There we go. I basically fell forward. 6.5 wobble, 3.3 nose, but 50 miles per hour speed. Kind of weird not following through. I don't know why I'm doing this. Wow, 7.1 wobble, but 1.5 nose angle, 40 miles per hour speed. So yeah. Yeah, that's healthy. 6.4 wobble, 2.6 nose. So the nose angle is slightly better with the cross step on average, but the wobble is worse. .6 wobble, 1.8 nose. 5.6 wobble, negative 3.5 nose. I'm gonna have to study that one to see what I do with my nose. 5.3 wobble, 0.8 nose. I think somewhere towards the release I straightened it. So maybe that's the thing you do. Instead of wrist pop, it's wrist fix. 6.7 wobble, 2.6 nose. Okay, I'm gonna have to do some thinking, rearrange this for the forehand. As you know, I'm not focusing on the forehand for this video series. That said, I did better with my backhand on day 2 than I did on day 1. I increased my speed by 4 miles per hour, spin by 68 revolutions per minute, and I also produced negative nose angles for the first time in my life. And I reduced wobble on average, as well as the minimum number than I did over day 1. The problem that I didn't see at the time was that I kept rotating my upper arm at the shoulder, which brought the the elbow down. It dipped up and it brought the disc up, and it just created a lot of wobble and nose up angle. Not as much as I've had in the past, but it was still there. And at the time I couldn't see or feel it, which is why I was confused. With all that said, stay tuned for the next video as I make some very important corrections. Thank you very much for watching, and have a great day.